Hey guys, just waiting for this to load. This is Stanley Parable, for those who don't know. I'm gonna do a few endings.
Were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I love this game, been playing the game for a while now. But I just want to show you guys, most of you probably are
When Stanley
already
came
aware.
to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, no, don't.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yeah, it is kind of credible he wasn't fired.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I'm gonna do the canyon ending for y'all.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yeah.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
8, no. 2, 8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Comment down below, or don't. Most likely nobody will. But comment down below any stories that you were told as a kid. Or not. I'm just thinking Parable. Stanley Parable. Parable's kind of like a story. I don't know what I'm talking about to you people. Like I said, I'm not the very...
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
Open.
It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
It's kind of on the nose, ain't it? Mind control facility. Like, could you be more obvious?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Strength is not the right word, I don't think. Actually, yes it is.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
This pretty much sums up being an office worker.
Wasn't it?
Never office
Was it
worker,
even
but I had friends
possible?
who were.
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
This is what they described it as.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine...
This is canon for those interested. I highly encourage you to check these games out I play. They're great games. I don't really do the bad games. I might if I get enough people to afford to do the bad games. And I should get paid to do the
and
bad
a rising
games.
chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
And that's what they want to see.
Yes. He had won. He had
I do have
defeated
some
the
bad
machine.
games on my computer.
Unshackled himself from someone else's
JRPG,
command.
that's basically,
Freedom was
you
mere
know,
moments
the
away.
JRPG.
And yet,
I
even
miss the
as
good
the
old
immense
classic
door
days.
slowly opened, Stanley
JRPGs.
reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his
Comment
co-workers
down below
gone?
if you were.
How had he been
RPG
freed
person.
from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did
I'm not
this
really an
strange
RPG
building
person.
hold? But as sunlight streamed into the
Bob?
chamber, he realized none of this
I
mattered
remember
to
playing
him.
this morning.
For it was not knowledge
I
or
think this is
even
a
power
JRPG.
that
It was
he
for the
had been seeking,
SNES.
but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not
For
been
the
to understand,
SNES.
but to let go.
That was
No
great.
longer
Like,
would anyone tell him where to go.
it's changed
what
so
to do,
much.
Or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
I know it's kind of random
That
to talk
was
about
all
JRPG
he
in this tiny paintable game,
It
but
was
there's not much
perhaps
going on here.
the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new
This
path
is actually kind of
before him.
beautiful.
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Was he though, actually? To tell you the truth, was he really happy? Was he really happy though? They're gonna do another one, and they're
All
probably
of his
gonna do
co-workers
3.
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet
Yeah,
there was
about the
not a
RPG
single
thing,
person here
yeah.
either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
I miss when
Stanley decided to go
JRPGs were
up to his
actually good
boss's
and
office,
not
hoping
fan
he might
service.
find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
Nope,
boss's
nope, nope.
office.
Gonna walk downstairs. God, I was doing there.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my
Don't say
co-workers
that,
blinking
Stanley. You're not
mysteriously out of
crazy.
existence
We're all a
in a
little
single
crazy
moment
to
for
begin with,
no
to tell you
reason
the
at
truth.
all. None
We
of
all a
it made
little
any
crazy.
logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question.
Sorry about that, y'all. Noises. Just checking out what...
All entered Stanley's head. One, he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now
I was doing pretty
the voice
good.
was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain
is actually
beyond a
taking a
doubt
long
that
time,
this
longer
was
than I
in fact a
expected.
dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove
For those of you
He would prove
suffering
that
from
he
mental
was
health like
in
I am,
control, that this was a dream.
don't worry, you're
So he
not
closed
crazy.
his eyes
And we're all a little crazy
and he
if you
invited
want to think
himself
about
to
it.
wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. "Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?" And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance,
I'm not
for
sure
just
about
a few
this thing.
brief moments, she considered the strange
YouTube's a
man.
lot strict.
He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned.
Anyways, guys, that will be the end of this video. See you again soon.